Peaceful weekend. Jamie Dornan brings family back to hometown in Northern Ireland. The morning breeze blew gently through the glass doors as Jamie Dornan set the last suitcase on the floor. He looked around the living room, where his wife, Amelia, was busy packing the necessary items for the trip. The three children ran from room to room, listening to the familiar sounds of a family preparing to leave the city. "Daddy, are we leaving yet?" Dulcie, the oldest, poked her head out from under the stairs, her eyes sparkling. "Just a few more minutes," Jamie smiled, ruffling her hair. "Are you ready?" "We've been ready since last night." Elva, the second daughter, ran to hug his leg, and Alberta, the youngest, was busy with a giant teddy bear nearly twice her size. Amelia stepped out, holding a packing list. "Have you checked the trunk?" Jamie smiled. "Who do you think I am? Of course. Everything's packed. Except you forgot your coat." Amelia pointed to the coat hanging on the chair. Jamie shrugged innocently. "I have a wife to remind me." They both laughed. These little moments always made Jamie grateful for life. Outside, fame was sometimes just a cold wind blowing, but at home, he was always warmed by these four people. Departure. The shiny black SUV rolled out of the gate, the morning sunlight streaming through the windshield creating soft streaks of light. Jamie drove, Amelia sat in the passenger seat, and the three girls sat in the back, each holding a favorite toy. "Daddy, how long will we be gone?" Alberta asked innocently. "About 2 hours, honey," Jamie replied, glancing at her in the rearview mirror. "How long will it take?" "No," Amelia said, looking down. "But look out the window, you'll see so many interesting things." The city gradually narrowed behind them, giving way to vast fields and small villages nestled between the hills. Although Jamie had been on this road hundreds of times, it always felt like the first time he was returning. His Northern Ireland homeland was more than a place name, it was a memory, a childhood, his true nature. As the car entered the countryside, Dulcie exclaimed, "Daddy, there are sheep." Jamie laughed loudly. "Of course. I'm in a place where there are more sheep than people." Amelia turned to tease him. "You're exaggerating again." "No," Jamie shrugged, "this is scientific information." Laughter echoed in the car. Every time like this, Jamie felt his life was complete in the simplest way. Home. The old Dornan house appeared around the last bend. It was set on a large plot of land overlooking a dark green field, and in the distance a small forest Jamie had wandered through as a child. The front door, pastel blue, rustled in the wind, a familiar sight that made him sigh with relief. "We're here," Elva exclaimed excitedly. Jamie stopped the car, stepped out, and took a deep breath of fresh air. The chill of the countryside mixed with the smell of wet grass and earth after the night's rain made him feel several years younger. Amelia opened the car door for Alberta. "Be careful, honey." But the little girl jumped out before her mother could say a word. "Oh, it's so spacious," she shouted. Jamie opened the trunk and took out the large suitcases. "Hey, Dulcie, Elva, can you help Daddy?" "Sure." The two girls excitedly pulled their small bags. They stepped inside, a simple but warm wooden house. The smell of pine, the smell of old tablecloths, and the passing of time, all combined to create a unique scent that only this place had. "It's exactly the same as the last time I was here," Amelia commented as she set her bag down on the sofa. "This house never changes," Jamie said. "And that's what I like." Memories return. In the afternoon, as Amelia and the children are packing up their room, Jamie steps out onto the porch. The wind blows through his hair, carrying with it the sounds of home, distant lambs bleating, rustling leaves, the soft rattle of wooden windows. He walks down to the back garden. There, the apple tree his father planted still stands tall, casting a cool shade over the lawn. Jamie reaches out to touch the trunk. In an instant, memories flood back, the image of his father smiling proudly as he climbs to the highest branch, his mother calling in the distance as the sun sets, Afternoons spent running barefoot on the grass, not worrying about the world outside. A hug suddenly wraps around his waist. Amelia. What are you thinking about? She asks, her head resting on his shoulder. About Dad, Jamie answers softly. I miss him. Amelia squeezes his hand. He would be proud to see you bring the whole family here. Jamie smiled, a sad but warm smile. Maybe. Dinner by the yellow light. The sun was setting behind the hills. The small kitchen was lit by a soft yellow light, spreading a familiar warmth. Jamie stood at the stove, cutting carrots into even slices. He was not a good cook, but he had known how to make his mother's meat stew since he was a teenager. Daddy, can I stir it? Elva pulled a chair up to the kitchen table. Okay, but be careful, Jamie reminded. Dulcie helped Amelia set the table. Alberta sat by the fireplace, singing a song only she understood. The house rang with small but lively sounds, like a beating heart just for their family. When the stew had smelled fragrant, the family gathered around the table. It was dark outside, only the wind blowing through the wooden doors. But inside, the warmth spread from corner to corner. Dad, you cook so well, Dulcie praised. Jamie held up his spoon as if accepting an award. Thank you, little lady. Amelia laughed. Do you have to act like you're getting an Oscar? You have to practice for the future. Dad, I'm going to get an Oscar too, Alberta exclaimed. Jamie looked at her. Of course. But first, you have to eat this potato. Laughter rang out. No red carpet, no cameras, just family, and for Jamie, that was enough. A misty morning. The next morning, Jamie woke up before the rest of the house. He opened the door to the porch, where a white mist covered everything like a soft blanket. He liked the feeling. The world seemed to slow down to give him time to breathe. A moment later, Amelia came out, wearing a thick sweater. You're up early? She asked. I wanted to see this, Jamie replied. Do you remember the first time I brought you here? Amelia laughed. How could I forget? I was freezing to death and you said, this is pure air. It is. Jamie leaned his hand on the railing. So pure it freezes my lungs. They laughed softly, then stood side by side, hand in hand, watching the mist drift across the fields. The children's adventures. After breakfast, Jamie led the three girls out to the small woods behind the house. Daddy, are there any wild animals? Alberta asked, her eyes wide with curiosity. Yes, but they're just cute rabbits, Jamie replied. And sheep? Elva chimed in. Yeah, but sheep don't live in the woods. They walked along the leaf-covered path, Dulcie holding a toy camera, constantly taking pictures of everything. The three girls ran around, occasionally picking up a rock or a branch that they considered a treasure. Jamie sat down on an old log and watched the girls. There was something beautiful about seeing children explore the world, something adults sometimes lost sight of. Amelia came over and rested her head on his shoulder. You look so happy, she said. Jamie smiled. I want the kids to have memories here, like I did. Late afternoon on the lawn. In the afternoon, they spread out a large rug on the back lawn. Amelia brought out some cakes and hot tea, and the girls chose their own seats to enjoy the gentle sunshine of the countryside. Jamie lay on his back on the rug, his arms under his head. The pale blue sky above was so vast it made him feel small. What are you thinking? Amelia asked, lying down next to him. That I want more weekends like this, Jamie said honestly. Hollywood and all that luxury, sometimes it makes me forget what's most important. Are you talking about family? Jamie turned to look at her. About me. And the kids. Amelia put her hand on his chest, where his heart was beating steadily. You know, you're always Jamie here, not the actor, not the star, just you, the one I love. Jamie chuckled, pulling her gently into his arms. That's why I like coming here. The last night. On the last night of the holiday, Jamie lit a fire in the fireplace. The three girls sat around him, each holding a marshmallow to toast. Tell me a story, Dulcie suggested. Jamie narrowed his eyes. What story do you want to hear? About when you were little. Oh, how about when you climbed the tallest apple tree and got stuck? Amelia called from the kitchen. Jamie feigned protest. Hey, that's not the official version. But it's the one I like, Amelia said with a smile. Jamie told a story about a naughty boy, his childhood friends, about the time he skipped school to go fishing and was caught by his mother. The girls laughed heartily while Amelia sat beside him, looking warmly at her husband and children. The fireplace crackled, the firelight reflecting on everyone's faces, creating a simple yet beautiful scene. Goodbye home. The next morning, with the sun still peeking over the hills, they prepared to leave. Dulcie was sad. I want to stay longer. Daddy wants to too, Jamie said, stroking her head. But we'll come back, Daddy promises. Amelia locked the door of the cabin one last time, looking around at the peaceful scene. Jamie took her hand. How do you feel? He asked. Recharged, Amelia replied. This place is magical. Jamie smiled. I know. I grew up here. The family got into the car, and the car slowly drove off the familiar dirt road. Through the rearview mirror, Jamie watched the small house slowly recede into the misty morning landscape. He wasn't sad. He knew they would come back, and knew that each time he returned, he would find a part of himself that he had lost in the hustle and bustle of life. The end, but also the beginning. When they returned to the city, the busy life began again. Work schedules, interviews, new projects, but Jamie felt lighter. Because he knew, if he wanted to, he could bring his family back to where his heart belonged. And that made everything a lot easier to breathe.